Hello and welcome to section 4, in which we will be creating advanced GUIs with Python and PyQt5. First, we will use CSS style sheets to make our GUI look good, and then we will look into PyQt5's slots and signal mechanism. After that, we overloading widgets and we'll be using Python hooks for debugging. Then we will use PyInstaller to turn our GUI app into an executable for distribution. Next, we will look into TCP/IP recording and networking, and in the end we'll connect our GUI to a SQLite database. So we have quite a lot for section 4 to do here. So in this first video we will be using CSS style sheets to make our GUI look good. And what we'll be doing is we'll be applying CSS to an entire tab, then to a group of widgets, then to an individual widget, and in the end to the entire GUI application. So let's start with our GUI from the last section, and I already ran it here and it currently looks like this. We have our two tabs, we have the two buttons, and this is what it looks like. Now what we want to do is we want to make it look better, and we can do that in the designer by applying style sheets. And let's close this preview of this guy here, our first UI design. And I've already done that here to save some time. So this is tab 1 now, and this is tab 2. And on tab 1, the way to apply a style sheet is to first highlight the tab 1 and the object name and the object inspector we can see here. Tab 1 is called tab and the other one is tab_2. So we highlight it, and then with the tab highlighted in the property editor on the right bottom side, we can scroll down and find the style sheet property. So that's already filled in, it's already blue. First time there won't be anything in there, so there are some 3 dots, ellipses, and when you click on them, it brings up Style Sheet Designer. And the way to do it is we want to add a color, and we want to add the background color, but we have to tell it what to add it to. So first we click on next to it, not in the middle here, but to the right, we click on the drop down arrow, and then we can select what we want. So we say background color, and that brings up the color dialog box, and here we can then select a color, and I've already done that. I chose blue. So when we click OK here, it fills in which color we selected as a background. So you can see RGB is red, green, blue, so 0, 0, and full gloss for blue, that's why it's blue. So that's the first step we're doing. So when we preview our change design, you can see, I'm running the guy on the left hand side here, we can see everything on our tab, including our buttons. All the background has been changed for everything. Now that's just the first step. So the next thing we want to do, that's a preview for the left side here, and we want to make our buttons more visible, and in the designer we can apply a certain style sheet to a class of widgets. So we could do it for each single button and for the text label, but we can also do it as a group for all buttons on the specific tab. And the way to do that is to highlight the tab again, and instead of scrolling down, we can also right click on the tab. So this is our tab, and we can right click on it and say select change style sheet. So that's the same thing, that brings up the same editor, and I've already done it. So the first step is we had the background color as blue. And now what we're going to do is we're going to tell it to only apply this background color to this kind of widget class. So the class is QWidget. The tab is of type QWidget, that's its class. We have to know the name of the class. You give it the name of the class and then curly braces, and then whatever color or style we want to apply, we put in between the curly braces. So earlier on it filled in this line, and now we wrap that in a QWidget block. And now we have to know the object names of our widgets. So for the buttons, I selected white as a background. So I did the same here, color, and then shows white. And that gives us this line here, background color, make it white. And now we can tell it to apply this background color to this type of class, to all buttons. So our buttons are of type push button. So that's the class. So we have to know this name here. And then when we apply this, the background color we specify or we select will get applied to all buttons. So we don't have to do it to every single one. We can just say all buttons should have a white background from now on. So when we preview our UI, it looks like this now with our two buttons in white. And now let's say we want to have one of the buttons in a different color. And the way to do this is right now the white on the left hand side apply to all buttons, and we can sort of override that. So we go back to our tab to change style sheet, I didn't have it highlighted enough, so we highlight our tab here, the first one, right click on it and go to change style sheet. And now we still have the GUI widget, which is our tab in blue. We have all push buttons in white, but we can also say for this specific push button, I want a different color. So we do GUI push button followed by a pound sign and then followed by the object name. And the object name for the second button is push button underscore 2, this one here. So that's how we find it. And I chose this color pink, so it's the same step. You do background color, select the color, and then wrap it in curly braces, and starting with the class name, a pound sign, and the name of the indie widget. So when we preview our UI in here, down the left, it's a preview. We can see what it looks like right now. And another thing we can do is we can apply a style sheet, and a different style sheet actually, to the entire GUI. The way to do it is slightly different. We have to not go to the tab widget, but to its parent, to the central widget. So with the central widget highlighted, which is basically the main area in the UI, we can right click it as well and go to style sheet. And what I've done for the new style sheet for the background is I did select add gradient. The thing here is still the same. It's called background color, but under add gradient. So I went to background color here, and then I chose the first one, black and white. I selected this one, and this then applies to the central widget. And when we now preview the UI, we can see, because we assign style sheets to tab 1 and to the buttons, that doesn't get overwritten. They remain how they are, but everything else that doesn't have an individual style sheet assigned to it now got the one from the central widget. Our tab 2 now has the gradient style sheet. So after converting our UI file to a Python file, as we've done before, we can import it from another Python module. And this is the way our GUI looked like at the beginning. So this is what it looked like run from another module. And after applying the style sheet, when we now run it, we have our new UI design, which has style sheets. And again, that's just the beginning. In this video, we use CSS style sheets. We applied different style sheets to a tab, a class of widgets, and to individual widgets. In the end, we applied a style sheet to the entire GUI.